Welcome and good evening. Thank you for joining us as we continue our celebration of National Small Business Week. We are extremely excited as we've had back-to-back programming all week for businesses of all types and sizes. Welcome again. My name is Shahiwa Jarrett Gellin, and I'm the founder and president of the Broward County Black Chamber of Commerce. Now, in our last event for the week, we wanted to bring you a program where no matter what size your business is or how long you've been in business, you could benefit. Our Ask a Banker session today is sponsored by Comerica Bank, and we have two really great speakers for you this evening to answer a lot of the questions that you have or always wanted to ask a banker but never asked, or maybe never even thought to ask, quite frankly. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first guest to the program. Now, it is Monique Coker, who serves as the External Affairs Marketing Manager for the Florida market with Comerica Bank. In her role, Ms. Coker oversees the community development needs for Comerica's Florida's market, which includes Broward, Collier, and Palm Beach counties. With more than 20 years experience in serving the community, mortgage, and banking industry, she leads Comerica's financial education initiatives in her area, with a focus on low to moderate income communities. Coker is responsible for fostering a positive community outreach relationship with her market. Coker's civic and community involvement includes serving on the board of directors for the Urban League of Palm Beach County, Children's Harbor, Handling Risky Business, Girl BU, Suitors for Seniors, and the TED Center. Coker is an author with two published books that she co-authored with her daughter. How sweet. She is also a certified life coach, and she's a graduate of FIU with a BA in interdisciplinary studies. So without further ado, let's welcome Mo Coker to the program.
Hello, Queen. It is so nice to be here with you, Shahiwi, and the Broward County Black Chamber of Commerce. Supporting this initiative is just exactly what, great community partners like you allow Comerica Bank to do as we focus on, improving and raising expectations in the communities that we serve. So thank you for having us.
No, it's no problem. I mean, I love the fact that we're having this session today, and you're going to introduce a colleague of yours who's going to come on and help you with the session. But it's important for us to answer these questions that small business owners have, right? And some of them probably never even have thought to ask some of the questions you're going to answer today. So no, thank you all for sponsoring it and being a part of the chamber.
Thank you.
So I'm going to give you, go ahead.
So my partner who will be helping me today facilitate this role play, as we like to call it, because we're all adults. We don't want to go to school after 5 o'clock, right? So we're going to have a little bit of fun today and help answer some of those questions, like you said, and also help emphasize why a relationship, I don't know if it's been expressed enough, but why a relationship is important for any small business and any person individually to have with your financial institution of your choice. And what that means is, if I say right now, Coach Mo, who is your relationship with? It should not be the name of my bank. It should be a person, a branch, etc. So stay tuned. We're going to go through a lot of stuff. I have on here with me Pierre Rodriguez, who is the branch manager for Comerica Bank serving in Palm Beach County. Pierre, if you're on, we'll go ahead and welcome you to the stage.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good.
All righty.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here with you this evening. It's definitely my pleasure to be able to have this wonderful conversation. I think it's very important to review these question and answer kind of role play that we're going to be doing.
Nice.
But as Mo elaborated, I'm a strong believer in the need of having a relationship with your banker, and that circle of trust, attorneys, CPAs, your accountants, right? Your insurance professional. A banker should be in that circle of trust as well.
We love that. And I noticed that you're so dedicated that, and I see where you are, yet you're still here with us. So we appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to
My
you,
pleasure.
both of you, and let you get started with your presentation. I'll see you all a little later.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You know, I really love this business that I created. And, you know, I all my friends are loving my product, you know, and I'm starting to make some money. And, you know, I just never thought, you know, whether or not I really need to open a bank account, because I'm wondering, you know, what should I think about before I even pick a bank? Like, I wish somebody could help me answer those questions.
Well, I'm right here for you.
Oh, so you can tell me what are some of the things I should be looking at before I decide to pick a bank of my choice? Like, what should I look for?
Absolutely. Mo, one of the most important things when you're looking to start your business and get yourself set up, you need to start taking a look at what are the different services these banks provide you, what services you'll need, and also, you know, are they going to be willing to, again, begin a relationship that will allow you not only to establish your business, but to grow. So before you start going out and picking a bank, there's several things that need to be done. Number one is, you know, that you need to get established to make sure you get the right licenses. You need to have already decided what kind of structure your business was going to have. Are you going to be a sole proprietor? Are you going to be an LLC? Are you going to be a corporation? If you're going to be a sole proprietor, you have to understand that you're going to be using your own Social Security number for the tax ID of the business. And even if you decide to be a sole proprietor, in most cases, you have to file for a fictitious name and the appropriate licensing within the municipality and the state in which you reside. So all that work needs to be done prior to you going out and seeking out what type of bank you want to work with. You need to make sure that you know what kind of structure you're going to have. If you're going to have a name of the company, that you've established it, that you have your EIN, your employee identification number set to you by the IRS. And once you have all that paperwork, along with all the licensing that you need to be able to conduct business, then you begin to have interviews, so to speak, with various financial institutions to make sure that they will meet your needs.
Wow. See, I never thought about all of that because, you know, right now I'm literally taking Cash App or, you know, Zelle payments and things like that because I've been in business about 3 months. I've got my EIN number because, boy, my lip gloss is popping. This is my new business. And, you know, this is really a sale and everyone loves it. So right now it's just more convenient for me to have people Cash App me the money because it goes right into my, you know, personal account. But now you're saying, you know, I should be thinking about that. But when exactly should I open this business account? Because I did go get my EIN number, but I'm a little confused. Do I need to open it now?
All right. Well, Mel, let me explain something right off the bat. Congratulations on your lip gloss company. I'm excited for you. But let me give you my first piece of advice. You should never commingle your business deposits into your personal account. That is only going to create issues and problems. I know that a lot of people today use Venmo and Zelle and Cash App. Those are primarily used for you to personally transfer funds to family members and friends or even acquaintances of which you're doing. Maybe you're going out to dinner and you want to split a bill or whatever. That works well with some of those things. But when you really get into operating a business soundly and fundamental building blocks, one of the first things that your CPA or accountant and your bankers should tell you is you should never commingle. So you should really establish the checking account prior to you conducting any business, because you want to make sure that to the IRS, to your accountant, and for your own business records, you definitely want to make sure that you've designated what's business deposits and your business expenses are separate from anything else that you have.
Oh my goodness. So I hope that someone can help me fix that because so far I've kind of commingled a little, but I heard you mention a checking account. Now I know banks offer a number of different types of accounts. So do I need a savings account and a checking account for my business, or only one? What do you suggest?
I've always been a believer in you got to pay yourself first, whether it be you're working for somebody, right? When you get paid, you should save for yourself. Same thing as a business. You have to prepare for a rainy day. You also want to save for growth opportunities. You also want to save for, in case there's an emergency, you need a piece of equipment, or you find an opportunity in the business that you want to take advantage of a discount or whatever. So I believe that as soon as you establish your business, a checking account is absolutely necessary for your daily operating needs, but you should open up a savings account at the same time, because what you want to do is every time you make a sale and you sell some of that lip gloss, you're going to put just a little bit away in that saving account for that rainy day or that opportunity day. And we start doing that. We start making good habits, again, fundamental building blocks of a business or even a personal, right? Financial plan would mean that you would be saving right from the beginning. Even if we got to save just a couple dollars or a couple of cents from every sale that we make, we want to make sure that we get into that habit soon.
I guess that makes sense because, I do have a lot of things that keep recurring, like my tax receipts and, bills and that kind of stuff. So I could probably, start budgeting to put that stuff in the savings account. I had no idea businesses offered, business accounts were also savings eligible. I did not know that. Well,
absolutely.
Another question, because since I got my magical genie here to answer all my banking questions, I'm going to take advantage of this today. So I needed to know now. I have a debit card for my personal account, and I've been seeing a lot of commercials about this business credit card. But it's so much easier just to swipe my debit card, and I'm assuming that would be the same for my business debit card. What's the difference between the business debit card and the credit card, and why would I want the credit card?
Well, look, the debit cards, whether it's personal or business, they're wonderful because they grant you access to your current cash, right? They're easy to use. I think that for business, sometimes the need for a debit card is there if you need to pull out cash, right? Because you need to make a cash purchase of something. But I personally believe that if you have the capability, that means that when you're starting out your business, in most cases, they're going to look at your personal credit to establish a credit card in the name of the business. I like the idea of a credit card because it also helps define all of your expenses, right? Because most places today where you buy your products, probably even for your lip gloss company, the vendors that are selling you your product and are the materials and the packaging, the shipping, everything that you're doing, in most cases are going to accept credit cards for payment to do those things. I like the idea that every month you'll have one nice, easy statement that shows where all your business expenses went to. You make one payment from your checking account and you're good to go. The other thing that protects you is this: God forbid somebody clones, right, or steals that debit card. What ends up happening is that they're accessing your actual cash that you have on hand to operate your business. If they steal or clone the credit card, well, you have a buffer there because it's really on credit, not the actual cash that's being drawn out of your business. So I like the security feature of a credit card. I also like the fact that you could have all your expenses on one report. I'm sure that an accountant and CPA would express that they would love that as well. And then the nice thing about it is just one simple check that you would write to pay that credit card. The other thing is this: credit cards also sometimes provide benefits like rewards points for travel, cash back, right, for certain purchases. So you'll also, could benefit from the points or cashback rewards that those credit card programs offer. But you have to really do your homework there again, kind of like when you're shopping around for the checking account. You got to make sure that for your business and what you're going to be using the credit card for meets your needs, and that you maximize those rewards when you have them.
Wow. Well, hopefully I'll be able to talk to you about my credit a little bit later. But back real quick to the checking account. I have heard some horror stories, and I've heard like some banks make you put in $1,500, $2,000. Like, is there a minimum balance that's required for various business accounts, like across the board for banks?
Well, you have to check with your individual bank. As far as Comerica offers a no minimum balance requirement. So there's no minimum balance required or monthly average balance with our small business checking account. I believe that there are some other banks that may offer that, but you really need to, again, have a relationship with that banker, because what you want to do is, myself as a banker of 34 years, my job is to save you money, make sure that you're tracking all of your expenses and managing your day-to-day needs as well as your long-term and intermediate needs by saving, right? But you need to really know what the expectations are and what the requirements are of those accounts. And a good banker should, number one, by law, they have to provide you all the material and let you know, at account opening, what the expectations are, what the additional fees may be if you don't carry a particular balance or whatever. But I would definitely look, particularly if you're opening up a new business, I would make sure that I would try to save as much as I can and seek an account and a bank that would provide me, either a very low minimum balance or average balance requirement or no balance requirement.
Okay, well, listen, now I have heard some other things, and since I have this opportunity to be very transparent and ask the banker whatever I want to ask them, I've heard horror stories of fees, that are charged in business accounts. And even, for example, like, if I first start my business account, when do you think I should go back to recheck my business account? Because sometimes you can outgrow the original business account, right? Because if I start making a lot of transactions, I heard that I could start getting charged, per transaction. Can you help explain a little bit about that?
Absolutely. There are multiple different items that you need to take a look at. You need to take a look at what type of services you're going to be requesting of the bank. One service that a lot of people don't really think about at the beginning in a business, but what you'll see is people start getting involved in it and they don't realize it's costing them money. They'll say, hey, I've got a large sale, right? And somebody says, well, I can wire the money to you. Well, they don't realize that banks charge wires not only going out, but also to receive wires they charge. So that's where the relationship with the banker really makes sense. And it's something that it is very, very important to review your monthly statement every month. It's not something that you just get in the mail. It's just not something that you have maybe online, right? Through your web banking, right? It's not something that you have maybe on your mobile phone and just look at it every day to see what the balance is. You really need to sit down, take a look at, make sure that all the deposits that you've done for that month actually came in and that are there, they're accounted for. Make sure there's no mistakes, because guess what? Banks aren't perfect. Humans work there and mistakes happen. So there could be a mistake on an amount of a check that you wrote out or a deposit that you made. But then you also want to take a look at the amount of volume that you're doing. At the beginning, as you're starting out your business, you may be taking incremental steps as you grow, right? But then all of a sudden you might get a big account, and then all of a sudden you're selling a lot more lip gloss to this one account. Well, all of those things you need to take into account, and that's why you need to review it on a monthly basis and have an open communication with your banker and say, for instance, hey, Pierre, this is Mo. I'm here now. I've had some great growth. It's my third month. Am I still in the right account? Are there, I'm receiving a lot of wires, and you know what? People are asking me to send wires to them. What's the best way for me to do that? Or maybe I now want to provide credit cards, right, for repayment. I want to be able to sell my product through a credit card. So now we would be talking about merchant services, right? A lot of people, you see them using Square. it's a very easy solution. A lot of people go with that because it's easy. They can pick up a device for 20 minutes. They're up and running, but they don't realize that they're pretty expensive compared to merchant services that can be provided through a bank. So yes, you need to have an open dialogue and relationship, but you should be reviewing that statement every single month to make sure that everything is correct and that there's no mistakes, because you only have a window of correcting them, by the way. So that's why you need to do it within that special time frame. No later than 30 days from the time that the month closed, you should be able to review your statements. And if you've had a sudden growth or there's been a change in your business of how you get paid or how you want to pay somebody, you definitely need to have a conversation with your banker, because we want to make sure that you're in the right product and that you're getting the right services provided to you.
So wow, Pierre, so you're literally telling me this is how the conversation should really go when I'm, having a conversation with my banker. Like, you're really going to sit down and talk to me like this and help me understand all of this information?
I would definitely hope that within my industry, we have folks that would actually share their knowledge and have a good, candid conversation to make sure that we're doing what's in your best interest. Yes.
Well, listen, then, since we're being a little transparent, before I started my lip gloss business, I kind of got in a little bit of trouble back in the days. Now, I don't know if my mom's on here, so I'm not going to admit that to her. But will like any of my past issues stop me from getting a business account? And do you all check systems? And if you do, and I'm in there, what can we do about it?
Mo, that's a great question. And yes, right? Character is something that somebody looks at a bank. We take a look at your history, your personal history with dealing with other banks, and your past will come back to haunt you if you haven't corrected the mistakes that you've made, right? So it's kind of like a driving record. If you get tickets, too many speeding tickets, and you don't pay them, well, guess what? Your driving privileges are going to get revoked, right? Same kind of thing happens within the banks. The idea is that everybody reports to check systems for accounts that have too many overdrafts or return checks or deposits that get rejected. And we do look at that. I don't know of any bank or even credit union that's not doing that these days. But the good thing is this: you always have second chances, and we're here to help. The idea is if you've had a situation like that and you know about it, the best thing to do is to go back, speak to those banks, right? And get those items removed and corrected. At least show that you've paid them and you've addressed it, and get a letter from those banks. But we do have the phone number for check systems. And what we could do is, and if this has happened before, sometimes some people don't know that they've had a problem. They come in thinking that everything is fine. We go in to open up the account, something shows up on check systems, then we tell them, unfortunately, we can't open the account, but then we provide you the information, how to get it fixed, and provide you solid advice to get you on the right track.
That's interesting because, I was in Walmart, or I can't remember what store it was, and charging for the fees to like cash checks is really, really high. And I think I heard somebody mention that's like called being underbanked. So you're like going out, you have a bank, but you want to use outside services versus using the services that your bank provides. Do a lot of people do that with their business accounts, like not use the actual services that the bank provides?
I've seen people use those services. I don't like it because the issue is they're paying at the highest for that service that they're getting. They're paying at the highest dollar rate, and there's no need to do that. If you sit down with your bank should provide you a full service, right? For all your banking needs. We may need to plug in different departments, different channels, different products, but those are going to be much cheaper than a la carte at a Target or a Walmart or a Western Union. I would suggest that you have a conversation with your banker. Again, talk to them about what you're trying to accomplish, what type of services you're trying to perform, right? For your financial services, and then have a good discussion with your bank. I believe that the packages will always be a lot cheaper and it'll save you money in the long run.
Well, you know, since my lip gloss is popping, business is really doing so well. I've actually had a couple of girlfriends that wanted to go into business with me. And I was kind of thinking about adding one of them onto my business account, but I heard some horror stories and sometimes me and her not on the same level. So what would happen if I added her, or who should I add to my business account?
Well, Mo, I'm going to give you some sage advice after 34 years of being in the banking business. If it's your business, even though you have girlfriends and they've been your friends, you really, 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 really have to take a strong look at the individual. That if you're going to bring in a business partner, they have to be of the same mindset. They have to be of the same work ethic. They have to have the same aspiration. I mean, just think of this. A marriage, right? A boyfriend, girlfriend, a marriage, right, is difficult, right? Even a relationship between two individuals is pretty tough sometimes. Can you imagine now throwing into this, right, the dynamics of a business, and that the relationship is based on one sole purpose? We're going to make money. I mean, my advice to you would be, if you want to keep those girlfriends to be friends for life, that you may have known them since you were in high school or college or whatever, let them remain your friends. If you're going to actually bring in a business partner, you have to make extremely careful who that person is. Make sure that you're both on the same mindset, that your hopes, dreams, and aspirations for the business, the same amount of work ethic, the same amount of effort, the same amount of, how can I say this, vested interest, right? Because you got sweat equity. You've already done a lot of work. You've invested time, money, effort, right? Because believe me, if you bring in a partner and they're not providing you that same effort, that same time, I mean, if you feel that your partner in life, right, is not participating at the level, can you imagine when you have that happening in a business when it's all about money? So I can tell you, my recommendation is you just don't bring in your girlfriends because they like your product and you think it's going to be fun and you think it's going to be exciting. A business is hard work. And I have sadly seen in my 34-year career, many relationships, friendships broken because they went in with all this energy and enthusiasm that it was going to be something fun. And at the end of the day, one partner felt, hey, I'm doing all the work here. I've put in all the money and I don't see my friend doing as much. They're out relaxing by the beach. What's going on here? And it's sad because what ends up happening is the business gets hurt in most cases. Sometimes it fails completely because of it. And then the relationship that you had with a good friend ends in a bad way.
But also, so like, do they get like 100%? So they're equal to me if I was to add them on the business account, like they can do whatever they want to do, or explain that. Like, what if I want to remove them? If I decide to add, her on, and
yeah,
not working out.
Once you've added somebody on as a signer, right? They basically have the same control of that checking account or savings account. There's no real way of breaking that up. Now that's different with a credit card per se. Let's say that you're the owner, right? And you have an employee. You can limit the amount of access that they have on the credit card. You can also even limit as to what they can purchase. But if you bring in on a signer, somebody who's actually going to sign on that account, you better know them very, very well, because they're basically going to have the power to write a check and empty out that account as much as you do.
And I can't remove them without them being there, right?
Without their approval, and agreement. Correct.
Got it. Wow. Ooh, that's a lot to consider now. I'm gonna have to really think about that before I add anybody onto my business account, because yeah, my energy is very focused on my lip gloss business. But
Well, and Mo, I go back to that acid test. If you've ever been in an emotional relationship with someone, right? Whether it be a husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, if you've seen the dynamics and the complexities of those relationships, right? Imagine that tenfold in a business when it goes wrong.
Oh, wow. Well, listen,
Yep.
you mentioned a lot, and I mean, I'm trying to take it all in, and this is a lot. But you said something about a credit card, and I kind of want to revisit back, because what is really the difference between, like, I guess I've heard my personal credit and business credit. What's the difference between the two? Like, how would I even know?
Yeah. Well, here's how it works. Now, your personal credit is run by the 3 primary credit bureaus. You have Equifax, right? You got Experian, and you got TransUnion. Those are going to be your top 3. Businesses also have the ability to be reported through Dun & Bradstreet. You've heard of DMB reports?
Yeah, I've heard of them before.
Right. So Dun & Bradstreet is the tool that most banks and by the way, not only banks, but also wholesale distributors, right? They'll actually pull a Dun & Bradstreet report to make sure that you've paid your business obligations on time, right? And they also get to see what type of credit facilities have been established by other companies, other organizations that are providing you maybe products and services. So how can I say this? It is extremely important to take care of your credit. Now, I know that things happen, life happens. You could have a medical issue, God forbid, right? Let's pray that never happens. You could have an accident. You could have, my gosh, we've just had a pandemic, right? So there are things that can impact personal credit. There are things that can impact business credit, right? The pandemic is something that nobody wished for, nobody was expecting, nobody wanted, but
Right.
it has impacted personal individuals, and it has impacted many, many businesses. So there are things that are outside of our control. We should try to do the best that we can to try to manage it. The beautiful thing is that I know that if you have a good banking relationship and you have a good accountant and a good CPA or CPA, you can correct those credit issues, right? Whether they're personal or business. But definitely it's important, because good credit will help you have access to capital, right? That you will need to grow your business properly, right? When
Oh,
opportunities present themselves, and God forbid, emergencies present themselves, you want to have the ability to have access to capital, and credit is going to be a very, very large component of whether or not that happens. So in the very beginning, in a small business, your personal credit is going to mean everything. But as you grow that business, you start reporting it, and you make that vendor. You call that vendor, and you call Dun & Bradstreet and say, look, I'm buying these items from XYZ distributor or XYZ supplier or supply house. You want to make sure that they're reporting that, and that you're providing the information for the reports as well, so that you start building your business credit. So both of those things are very important.
wow. So okay, I heard you say Dun & Bradstreet. And how do you go about, like, I mean, come on now, I just started my little lip gloss business. So how do I even check my credit score? Where am I supposed to go for checking my business credit score? And how often, I guess, would you suggest I do that?
Well, on your personal side, you can do your credit score, right? You can go once a year and free annual credit score, and they will provide you a copy of the 3 credit reports. There are also some credit card companies out there, Capital One, American Express, that provide you free credit card scoring and monitoring. I always suggest that you should have that. And from the business aspect, you have the ability to actually reach out to Dun & Bradstreet and ask for your current credit profile. If you're new, you're probably not going to have anything on there. But if you're new, you also can start making sure that that's being reported. For instance, if you have an FP&L bill, right? An electric bill, water bill, all of those things, if you're paying rent, right, for your business location, you can have them begin to report and begin to compile that credit report.
Wow. So I think someone told me, I guess there's 3 major players, in the business credit reporting sector. And I think on the next screen, it'll show those 3. But have you, heard about all 3, or, which one? I think Dun & Bradstreet, I heard, is the one that's free to go register my business.
Correct. You got Equifax and Experian and Dun & Bradstreat all will report business credit information.
Okay.
It's important that Dun & Bradstreet will do it for free. What I mean by that is there are things, if you don't tell a vendor, right? Like for instance, you can own a business and own a commercial credit card with Home Depot, right? You've seen the commercial credit card with Home Depot or Lowe's, right? Those are very common ones. But they'll begin to report to DMB and Equifax and Experian. But there might be a local vendor that you use, a supply house, right? That's in an industrial warehouse district that maybe you buy all of your boxes, or maybe they provide you all of the packaging, right? Or marketing material. You can actually ask them to begin to report to these entities if you're using their credit or if you're reporting your payment history to them.
Is that Pierre something? I think somebody told me something about asking about a net 30, or have you heard of that before? And what?
Absolutely.
What
Absolutely. Is it? So what ends up happening is this: the suppliers that you're buying, for instance, your lip gloss, everything that goes into that, maybe even the chemicals that you put in the lip gloss, all the way down to the tubes that you use, right? You're buying all of that. So what ends up happening is they give you terms, right? Net 30, net 10 on delivery. So you get discounts. The faster you pay, right, a vendor in most question, and most of the times, the faster you pay them back for the product or service you've provided them, right, under the terms of the agreement that you've set up with them, the faster you repay them, the more you save. The longer you take to pay them, which some of them will be net 30, net 60, net 90 days. Well, guess what? They're charging you interest, right? It's more expensive for now the tubes and the products that you're putting in that lip gloss. So what happens? Your profit erodes, right? Because you're paying more. If you didn't take advantage of the discount by paying net 10, net 30, then you're paying it 60 days. All of a sudden, the profit that you would have made gets eroded because you're paying more for that. And again,
well, I kind of heard something else though. See, I heard net 30. So I can honestly kind of get stuff on credit that way, sounds like, right? To build my credit with.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Because what these supply houses and these distributors try to do is they want to make sure that you have the material, the raw material, to go ahead and produce your product, get it to market, right? And making sure that you can sell it. And so they know that there's usually a lag, right? There's a time or what we call a cash flow cycle, right? For you to make it, manufacture it, package it, send it out, sell it, and get your money back in.
Wow.
And all of that cycle, which is the cash flow or your sales cycle, is something that the distributors, the providers of the products that you use to make the lip gloss, they're knowledgeable and recognize that. So they're not expecting you to just pay for everything up front. They're giving you terms so that you can actually produce it. They want you to be successful because they want you to buy more from them, right? If you started out with 100 orders, they want you to get to 200, 300, 400, 500, 1,000, you know? And so does the bank, by the way. We want to see you grow like that too.
Well, that's great to know, because I don't think I even knew that until someone mentioned like net 30, because you know, a lot of us small businesses, when we start, we worry about access to capital to buy inventory and things like that, which kind of goes into like my next slide is, you know, when we're looking at business credit, really overall, what I'm kind of hearing you say is there really is an importance for, you know, business credit, because it does a lot of things for my business itself. Do you want to kind of go over what, you know, the actual great things? Because I've heard people talk about, you know, collateral loans, my inventory access. And I never even understood, you know, I bought a lot of inventory, but I didn't know I could actually possibly do loans against inventory or collateral. Can you explain some of that?
Right. So there's, like everything else, depending on the type of business that you have, right? Some of them are going to be equipment heavy, right? You may need to require a lot of equipment to manufacture your product or to produce your product. So you may need equipment loans, and that would be asset-based lending, right? You have a piece of equipment that has a value, and then we provide you a amortization schedule. Depending on the piece of equipment, it could be anywhere from, you know, 80%, 75% financing on that piece of equipment, right? You may need vehicles, right, to transport your product. How are you going to get it delivered? Are you using everything through FedEx? Are you using third-party vendors to send out your stuff? Or are you going to actually have delivery vehicles that are going to drop the items in? So you may need vehicles for your business. So there's different types of credit facilities for each one, right? We have one called the CREM, which is a commercial real estate mortgage. That means that if you decide that you were going to have a warehouse that you didn't want to pay rent anymore, right, and you wanted to own that warehouse because your rent has gone up and up and up and up, and you want to control that, and you want to keep your property a little bit nicer than what your landlord was, right? We have commercial real estate mortgages. So we actually have the ability for business owners to own, just like you would own your own house, to own their own building, right? Then we have, again, equipment financing that runs everything from machinery, that does everything from printing, silk screening, to, depending on your business type, to wood milling machines, you name it. We have it out there. To a doctor, right, that buys an MRI machine, right? All of those items can be financed for the purpose of actually producing or conducting your business, right? Then we have what are called lines of credits. And lines of credits are short-term cash needs for working capital. That means that in your business cycle, again, depending on the type of business that you're in, your recapturing of your money, how you get paid, may have a longer cycle than some other businesses, right? So if you're selling flowers, your cycle is very short because your flowers only last so many days, right? You can't keep the flowers in there for 6 weeks because they're all going to be dead. They're not going to look good, and nobody's going to buy your flowers. Your goal is, once you buy your flowers from the distributor, and if you're a flower shop, you want to sell those flowers as quick as you can. That means you're going to make your money back very quickly. But you may have a product like lip gloss. It may sit, I don't know, at a beauty salon or at a pharmacy, wherever you're selling your product through. It may sit for a week or 2 or 3 because you're going to put a lot of different colors and a lot of different flavors probably of the lip gloss. So what I'm assuming is it's going to be a little bit longer run life, right?
Right.
So you may need a working capital to be able to pay your employees, pay your vendors, pay your electricity while you're waiting for the dollars to come in. So that's a conversation that, again, having a relationship with a banker is going to be essential. And it's also going to be essential to have, a good accountant or CPA, because anytime you're making those decisions, those are important decisions to the longevity and long-term growth and future of your company, right? And your business.
I can tell you, Pierre, I definitely have learned that there is a difference between the tax preparers on the corners, or, a CPA and an accountant, as I've started this business, even through the COVID crisis. But I've also been hearing so much stuff about how to put it all together and what does all this really mean, and something about some 5 C's, the 5 C's of business credit. Like, what exactly are the 5 C's, and how does that apply to me, basically?
Well, the 5 C's are cornerstones. There's no secret formula that all banks use the exact same recipe, right? But without a doubt, character is important, right? Because somebody's character and integrity, that means pretty much everything. That's really a basic cornerstone of a bank's decision making, right? So I put that at the top of the list, even though we're looking at capacity over at once on the left-hand side, which is first on this slide. Capacity is important because capacity means your ability to repay. How much money are you bringing in? What are your sources of income? And how much debt can you carry based on your annual sales and the income that you're providing, right? The next thing that I look at is credit history, right? We want to make sure that the credit history is strong because that's going to be a reflection of your character, right? You've paid on time, you've paid as promised to those creditors. That's a reflection of your character. Collateral means what we're talking about. If you need a truck, that's going to be the collateral. If you need a piece of equipment, that will be the collateral, right? Whatever piece of equipment is. If it means that you want your own building because you need your own office space and your own warehouse and your own manufacturing facility, that means a commercial real estate mortgage, right? So that means that that's going to be covered by the land and the dirt and the building. So the collateral will change depending on the type of need. There's also one thing that a lot of people don't understand when they hear, well, we do an unsecured lending a little bit, but what we do is we do a blanket UCC filing. When a bank does that, they do a blanket UCC filing on all your business assets. So it's not really unsecured. There's just no real attached vehicle identification number for a truck, right? But it does provide a guarantee from the business, meaning your computers, your laptops. It's a UCC filing that they file at the courthouse, right? Which means that not only do you personally, but the assets of the business are also in play. In case you don't pay, the bank can actually recoup its money. So collateral is used as the last source. The bank never wants to use that as a source of repayment if you default or fall into foreclosure, right?
Well, I'm gonna mention the elephant in the room. Since I'm on the phone with the bank, y'all don't like to give people loans. For small businesses when we first get started. So what I've heard that there's some other opportunities to kind of get you started to become bankable. Somebody was saying something about like a CDFI or, like what exactly is that? And would I be like a good candidate to try to get a loan from a CDFI if I can't get one from the bank yet?
I definitely would encourage. What ends up happening is, Mo, to give you an idea, even the SBA, right, says that you need to be in business for 2 years before they will consider you, right, for an SBA loan.
Yeah.
So these micro lenders, which are these CDFIs, which I call them as micro lenders, right, they have pulled money together, and I think they're a great resource. But again, I would have conversations with your bankers, right, with your CPAs. They help provide seed money for businesses. They really do a great job at that. But something that's extremely important, whether you're going to the bank, whether you're going to go to a CDFI, a micro lender, right, they're going to want to see a business plan. You got to be ready with a business plan because you're not a proven entity when you're just starting out. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
They may be able to see the quality, your character, because they can pull a credit report and see that you've paid on time personally. But your business is kind of a big risk. You're going out into a new venture, right? I don't know what you've done career-wise. What were you doing before you started getting into the lip gloss business?
I was working actually in school system, and
Okay.
I always loved makeup. So during the pandemic, I was like, let me go start my own little lip gloss, and people really like it. So I heard I'm no longer.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm a business owner.
Fantastic. So what ends up happening is when you come into a new business like that, a new venture, a lot of people, meaning the banks, right, the funders, the creditors, look at it, it's a high risk because it's a new venture. You're leaving education, something that you have a passion for, that you've done well in, but now you're starting something completely new. You need to provide a proven track record. The CDFI do provide resources. They actually help businesses actually structure a little bit, right? Sometime even in their business planning. There's a lot of resources out there in the community that bankers like myself can introduce you to, even like workshops like the one we're doing today. These are very, very important for small business owners and those that are getting ready to become entrepreneurs, going out and making their dream a reality. Like they say, knowledge is power. So is having these resources available. There are funders for these seed monies. We call them micro lenders, and they're out there. And other people use other assets as well. Some of them will actually use the equity in their homes, right? Some of them will also seek family members that would provide them seed money and funding, a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a sibling who sees the talent that you have, and they see that what you're venturing out in is a great opportunity, so they can provide you the funds to get it kicked off, right? But
Pierre, you know what? You have been awesome. I mean, like, I didn't know I could even really sit and talk to a banker like this, because sometimes when I go into the bank, I go straight to the teller line. That's the only thing I care about is, going to get the money from, I know the tellers. I know them very well. But it sounds like what you're saying is I should definitely, have a stronger relationship, with the people inside of the branch, and get to know them a little bit better. So I really appreciate you taking the time to be my magical banker genie today to help, answer some of my questions. I'm going to work on my business plan, because you said you all would probably want to see it, or either the CDFIs will want to see it. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over. I hope that everyone enjoyed this quick little role play. What we're trying to show everyone on this workshop and webinar, this is exactly how transparent your conversations should be with your bank and your banker of choice, whether, whatever bank you choose. Be able to talk to them, make sure that the branch knows who you are. A lot of times businesses start their businesses and they may get a large check, and they want to go in and deposit the check, and you have no relationship with the bank. So the bank, may put a longer hold on that check, versus you going and saying, hi, Pierre, I'm a brand new lip gloss owner. I've sat down, showed you my business plan. I'm expecting a pretty large, investment check, needed to be able to buy some more inventory, and getting to tell your story to the branch and letting them know you. That way the risk is a little bit lower. I'm going to bring back on Shahiwi so we can see. I know we have about 3 minutes left. If there are any questions from the audience.
Yes, we did get a couple questions in. I got a first question. Does Comerica Bank work with small businesses with revenues between $500,000 and $1 million?
Yes, we do. Absolutely.
And anything that is $1 million or below for us is considered to be a small business. That's what's classified. So any business that has a gross annual revenue of 1 million or less, definitely, are what we're looking for as we're looking to help raise expectations in the LMI communities. Okay.
There's another question about, you mentioned this earlier, the CREM, right? The commercial real estate mortgages. We had a question as in, does Comerica Bank offer loans for commercial property? If so, how competitive are the rates? We want to know rates out here, Pierre.
Pierre's never going to talk about rates.
They're really competitive. I mean, as anything else, what ends up happening is it's based on the credit, right?
Yeah.
Criteria. If a client or the business has good credit, then they get the best pricing. But
And I think the best answer is shop around, because
yeah,
you gotta know, what your options are. A lot of people go to one place because it's hard work to keep checking around. Be careful. You don't want to, keep pulling credit or anything, but you can always go to any financial institution and ask them for a rate sheet. And they
correct. You should shop around, but also know that we're at historical low rates for both mortgages, equity lines, and commercial mortgages. Commercial mortgages are, I mean, I've been in the business for 34 years. I would have never thought we'd get a mortgage in the 3% range, right?
Oh,
we're seeing mortgages on your homes in 3% range. We're seeing mortgages for commercial property in the 4s and in the 3s.
Okay. I like the sound of that, Pierre. I want you all to know, we do have another question. I'm just going to ask my question first and then ask that last question we got online. Sure. Because we're in a space where, we had PPP first draw last year. We're in the middle of a PPP second draw. And so we're getting a lot of questions regarding the forgiveness. What does that process look like? Can you explain what that looks like, at your bank and what you're seeing with the small business owners there?
I can discuss that. It's pretty much all of the banks have gone the same route because the SBA has gauged it, or I should say tracked it for all the banks. The portal is what everybody's using, right? Whether you go to any of the big box banks, whether it be, Bank of America, TD, even Comerica, you come to our website, you go onto a portal, you upload your documents, you show what your needs were. When it first came out, which is for the PPP, is Payroll Protection Program, the idea was to put a bridge together of about 6 to 8 weeks to pay your employees so you wouldn't send them out on unemployment.
Yeah.
That process now has gotten even more streamlined, but it's gotten more rigorous. When the second round of PPP came out, they were asking for more documentation, right, from the business owner. Also, they were asking, one of the qualifiers was you needed to have 25% reduction in your revenues, right? You had to be able to provide that as proof the second round. Right. And the other thing that's happened is right now, we were open. We were going to remain open until the 15th of May. Then we saw that the dollars were drying out. We moved it to May 7th, and we found out on May 5th that the government had run out of the funds. I believe they're going to kick in some more dollars in there. Yeah. So I would say don't give up. But here are some of the important things. For the second round, you needed to have a relationship already established with a bank prior to January 10th or 15th, depending on which bank you went to. Okay. Now, the other thing that's happening on forgiveness, if you got it during the first round, if you got money during the first round, they have been working so hard at making sure to get the money out the door that the forgiveness has been taking longer and longer and longer and longer. The forgiveness goes also through a portal process. In most cases, what you'll do is you'll receive an email telling you that, hey, we're ready to provide you the forgiveness for your PPP loan. We need to see how you spent the money. Just remember that first round was, they wanted to see that 75% or better went to payroll. So if you had a payroll company or a payroll service, or if you had a CPA that did it, or if you did it internally, you need to make sure that you have all the documentation ready to be uploaded to show where you spent and how you spent the money. That's what they really want to see. But it's been a lot slower in happening because, again, the SBA has been mostly concentrated in putting more money out there. The one thing that I would caution anybody, remember at the beginning, we had Mo saying that she was accepting Cash App, putting money into her personal account, scaring the heck out of any banker, right? But more importantly, terrifying an IRS person or a person from the SBA. You need to make sure that you keep very, very good records.
Right.
If you're receiving money from the SBA for PPP or the ELED, right, the Emergency Disaster Relief Fund that they created, you
Right.
need to make sure that you are, in fact, in many cases, I would say, open up a new account and say, this is the money that I received from you, and here are all the expenses that I sent from this
You
money
know what,
that you
Pierre?
gave me.
It's so funny that you said that, because that was our advice to our members, to just, have a separate account, and just
Yeah.
kind of run those expenses through that account, so it'd be very clear what it was spent on. I do want to get into the very last question, which is up on the screen. What is the advantage of working with a bank like Comerica versus a mega bank like Chase or Bank of America? So, hit it. Which one of you want to
I'm gonna go first because
Okay.
I speak heavily about this for Comerica Bank.
Okay.
We are a bank that raises expectations in any avenue, anything that we do. And what we thrive on is exactly what we're showing you here: relationships. We are a relationship bank. We don't have, people, for example, in our markets here in Florida, my branch managers, they know their clients' names. They know them when they walk in. That's what we're known for. So we're a relationship bank. We are a business bank. That is our footprint. However, we do offer, of course, all the other services, but we're here to raise expectations in every community that we serve. So go ahead, Pierre. You can answer next.
All right, Mo.
So Mo hit it right on the spot. I mean, I opened up the conversation today, our meeting. It's all about relationships, right?
Mhm.
It's who you know. I ask, here's the thing, whether it's one of the big box, one of the big Chase, Bank of America, if you know a banker there and they're building a relationship with you and they've taken an interest in your business, then you've got what I've been preaching, right? And what Mo just stated. What I like about our bank, and I can't speak for what the other ones are doing, because guess what? In my 34-year career, I actually worked at one point in time for Wells Fargo, right?
Okay.
If they were banking with me, people bank with people, not with banks.
Right.
I've always said that to people. If you banked with me, no matter where I go, you got Pierre, you got lucky, because Pierre likes to build relationships. You want to make sure that you have a relationship. And again, that circle of trust. Folks like yourself that are doing these seminars, that circle of trust, providing good advice, providing venues where businesses get great information. That's a very important component. But I believe that you should have a banker that's willing to forge a relationship, really get to know you, know your business, right? Also a CPA, an attorney, and a banker. When I see a business that doesn't have those pieces or is missing one of those pieces, I actually provide them, hey, let's make some phone calls and let's see who we need to get you in front of. It's all about relationship.
I like that, Pierre, though, because you're right. And I think at the point you made earlier when we first started, that point was well driven home because of the pandemic and because of the scramble that was caused with all the closures and shutdowns. And then the rollout of the PPP was all about relationships. So I do want to thank you all for answering that question, but for also being our featured guest speakers here tonight for this very important topic. I can't tell you how often we at the Chamber get questions from people who want to start a business or people who already have a business, wanting to ask questions, but sometimes of a banker, but sometimes not really even knowing what to ask. So you all covered some really important topics here tonight. So I want to say thank you so much for spending your time here today with us and for educating all of the viewers.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity. One of the most important things that we can do is share the wealth and the knowledge. We want entrepreneurs to be successful. Makes our jobs easier.
Right. Exactly. You can give more yeses. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. To all this money we're asking for. So thank you, Pierre, and thank you, Mo, also for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all for joining us this evening. It's been a pleasure having you here with us, and we hope that this session was filled with information for you that you didn't know before, right? Did you know about that DUNS number? Did you know about the difference between your personal and business credit? Did you know about the 5 C's that banks traditionally look at? So hopefully you've learned and gained some knowledge here tonight in this session. So thank you for joining us. We're excited to continue our journey during National Small Business Week. We started out with a session in government contracting with Balfour Beatty. Then we followed up with a business basics session yesterday. And today we had our Ask a Banker session. Tomorrow we will be getting out there and meeting with small business owners. We're going to do some pop-ups, right? Some well checks on some of our Black businesses in the area to see how you're doing during this National Small Business Week. We want to check in with you, and we'll also be doing some giveaways. So make sure you join us tomorrow and follow our journey on our different platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, as well as LinkedIn. And you may win a gift card from one of the businesses that we visit tomorrow in celebration of National Small Business Month. Thank you for joining us, and you have a wonderful night.